The Gulf Coast Growth Show is sponsored by Chevron Pasadena Refinery and is an extension of the Economic Alliance Houston Port Region, where our mission is to market and grow a vibrant regional economy.
All right, hey guys, and welcome back to the Gulf Coast Growth Show. I'm your host, Jason Lee, and I'm side by side with my co-host, Zeke Smith.
What's up, man?
Yeah, well, we wanted to be close to each other. We are celebrating 1 year together today.
Yep, anniversary show. That's right.
Well, when you watch this, it'll be a year.
Right? Yeah, roughly. Yep, that's right.
Fantastic.
That's right.
So excited to have you. And we are joined by the lovely Melinda Torrison and Miss Kristi Claypool, both from Meador Staffing Services and really local legends, right? I think so.
Well, at least Kristi, the only person in the Economic Alliance with better hair than us. So, I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah, so congrats on that award.
Fantastic hair.
Yeah.
And a great prayer. Prayer.
Yeah.
I remember you led the prayer a few meetings ago, and I just remember pausing at was it the annual banquet? Yeah. It was the annual banquet.
Prayer leader, yeah.
Yeah, you were leading the prayer for it was the annual banquet.
Okay.
Whatever it was.
It's everywhere.
It was
Anywhere and
unbelievable.
everywhere.
Yeah, it stopped me in my tracks, and we appreciate that. And then Melinda, you've just been around for years and doing so many great things, you and your husband in the region. So glad to have you today. And we're going to talk a lot, not only about the organization, your company, but hiring trends, what you guys are experiencing, your culture and mission, and then really what's different about you guys and how you approach hiring, staffing, and really the marketplace different than others.
Yeah.
Not to mention how you stay in business and do so much for the Economic Alliance. You never go to an event and don't see these two running around, or the whole crew, or the 35 of them, right?
Yeah.
So
you guys are like,
she's like, we have 6 employees. I'm like, there's 35 of you here. So how does that math work out?
How did it work out that way?
Right, right.
But yeah, so real quick, give us a backdrop on the company, really where it started from, and then how you guys are doing. So
Yeah. I think that's definitely a president's question. Well, first and foremost, we want to tell the two of you happy anniversary.
Thank you.
And so super excited. I know.
Well, it is a special day.
It is a very special day. And so we feel very honored, Kristi and I do, to be able to participate and be a part of the podcast celebrating your 1 year anniversary. So thank you so much for inviting us to be a guest and just participate in conversations. So Meador Staffing Services, oh my goodness. So you go back to 55 years ago in 1968 is when the company was founded. And of course, the story that we always love to tell is there were two gentlemen who had worked in the petrochem industry in HR on 225, of course, Ben Meador and Jean Brady, and decided one day, hey, let's go and start a personnel agency. Had never stepped foot inside of one, didn't know what they did, but they basically knew that we have a lot of relationships up and down the channel with people in HR, and we think we can place people. So we really started from very humble beginnings, a little, 300 square foot office, and really with the mindset of we're just going to do direct hire placement, and we're really going to focus on engineering. So, long story short, we just, as the years went on, we really give a lot of accolades and tribute to Ben Meador, the CEO, and like I said, founder of our company, just for his gift of being a visionary, to see things that other people can't see. So really Meador Staffing just evolved throughout the years when we opened a temporary division, then of course, opened up branch offices, have done a lot of things that a lot of people really don't even know about. We owned and operated 2 national networks in our industry where we brought together, 150 to 400 other staffing companies to share business, to share, strategy of how you do this crazy thing called, staffing, and just really have evolved throughout 55 years. But first and foremost, we are all about community. We do run around to a lot of places, but that really stems from Mr. Meador and really from his father and the mindset of you're not in business just for yourself. You're really in business to be a steward of so much more. And part of that is being a part of your community, giving back, and really letting them be the superheroes of your business, along with your clients and, of course, your employees. So, so 55 years later, Kristi and I are sitting here today.
We could end the episode on that.
Yeah. Well, both of you obviously weren't born 55 years ago. So, I mean, that's, so great job.
Flattered.
You're not supposed to say that. We have to edit that out now. We're trying to keep you, keep you youthful.
He does that with all the ladies.
All right, keep it on the rails.
So real quick, Kristi, so you're kind of in the field dealing with clients and engaged in the one-to-one, delivering results. Talk to us a little bit about what you're seeing with trends, what people are experiencing with hiring trends, what that's looking like in the staffing world right now.
Sure. So, yeah, I have the privilege of going client to client, building relationships with them, seeing what types of positions they have open. And it is anywhere from janitor to receptionist to engineer to chemist, just a variety of positions. So it has been one of the most rewarding positions. Just talking with owners and managers alike about what they are hiring for and how we can be of help for them. And this is anywhere from a temporary position that they might need for 2 days all the way up to a career placement, and finding that. And the types of trends that we are seeing, and I'm telling you, these trends go like waves. I mean,
right.
You get such a variety. It's like, oh my God, how many people need a forklift operator?
Right.
You go through waves of that where you might collect that for months. And then it'll go another few months and see something completely different, I mean, there are some standards such as a forklift that are kind of always there, a forklift operator, but the trends now that we're really seeing are anything to do with production, manufacturing. If you can repair anything at all, that's such a benefit.
Yeah.
A lot of clients are really good about wanting someone that's just mechanically minded.
Mm-hmm.
And so we appreciate when customers really are able to train and not necessarily have someone that has just got 5 years of experience in this particular industry or that particular talent. So we work a lot also with school, with the various schools, and a lot of trends with interns. They are interested in knowing more about that and how Meador staffing assist and can help with their internship program.
Now, we had you guys on over a year ago, really closer to maybe 2021, 2022. And at the time, it was really hard to get people to go to work.
Yes.
Right. And so now I think with it being a lot of emphasis pointed towards the economy right now, and you continue to see job trends continue to look strong nationally. What are we seeing from trends as far as hiring in this region? Are people still hiring? Are you guys still having a hard time getting people to take jobs and show up for interviews? Tell us about that.
Okay, that is like a loaded question. So it's almost like the both and. So, you're right, Jason. I mean, if you really look back, in particular in 2022, it was an anomaly type of year, really for the staffing industry nationwide and including this region. You could literally just be sitting at your phone or your computer and you have jobs rolling in. And so the difficulty was actually filling the job. And we went through the Great Resignation where you started seeing, oh my goodness, everybody's changing jobs, everybody's moving. Then you see the escalation of wages and compensation. And so, my philosophy and what I would share with the company is, you guys, this is not sustainable. We are going to see something, the wave and roller coaster kind of, play out in 2023, 2024. So it's interesting where we're at. We've gone from what they had designated at that particular point in time was the Great Resignation. Now they're claiming it as we're in the Great Stay. And I think it's what you had alluded to, Jason, is it's the economy. But it's all over the place. Like Kristi said, there are so many companies in our region that are really on an uptick of huge growth and, exponential growth where they're planning 4 or 5 years out.
Mm-hmm.
The difficulty is still finding the candidate. And unfortunately, we're going to be in a tight labor market for the next decade. So what is really interesting is, of course, we're in an election year, which I do believe impacts business because they're waiting to find out who's going to be in the White House, who's going to be in Congress.
Sure. Whoever
is dictating policy is going to determine, kind of the trends or the direction that business is moving into. So, but the tight labor market is it is a different world that we live in where there are literally people taking themselves out of finding a job. They don't want to work. So that's what we deal with and have dealt with for now a couple of years. It is like nothing we've ever seen before, where it is really difficult to fill, even like Kristi had said earlier, forklift operator positions are, very popular here in the region because of logistics and, all of the warehouses that we see. it's a hard to fill job.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's just really difficult to understand. So we're dealing with all types of issues, trying to find the people, trying to keep the people on the job, which kind of goes into maybe what we'll talk about later, employee engagement, culture, retention. It is just a different world that we live in. And unfortunately, a culture or a group of people that just unfortunately don't want to work. So it becomes difficult for employers to find the people that they need. And so like Kristi said earlier, I think that's why internships and apprenticeships are so popular now.
Mm-hmm.
And companies are looking at how can I go to the high schools, you know, the local colleges such as Sanjack and Lee College I've got to train these people up myself.
You know,
So-
and that's a great point because the Economic Alliance does such a great job of
Yes.
pressing into that space and workforce development and creating a pathway into these schools and reaching out. And Miss Patty Bell here, that's her
Absolutely.
passion. And I think it's important for those that are tuned into this episode that if you're a member but you're not involved, that you're being cognizant of that and figuring out how you can plug into it because it has a direct impact on your business.
No doubt.
It does.
And that's what it's not just a marketing place. This is a place where you come in and this
Sure.
organization goes to work because a lot of small business owners, they don't know where to start to fix those
Yeah,
things.
you're absolutely right.
They're like, I have a problem, but I guess I just hope it works itself out. When it's like, no, you get involved with an organization that'll go do the
Absolutely.
work for you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
they'll
we're
go-
still educating clients on this to help them
Yeah.
understand. I like to kind of see it as, when they give you a job order, you're asking, okay, so now keep in mind, we are now this is like a BC thing, like before COVID, after COVID, like
Right.
Sure.
Christ himself, he separated time. COVID is what
Yeah.
COVID did, of how you look at it, how you look at finding that talent
Mhm.
and what's available for it. You know, that was not available back then, but now it's available now, or vice versa. So it's super helpful to know that and to talk with the managers. And the managers are fully aware that now this is what before I wanted, 8 resumes, and now you're only going to get possibly 2 to 3 resumes
Yeah.
on
Wow.
that exact same thing.
Mhm.
But that's what that BC situation
Yeah.
kind of did.
Yeah.
So what have you seen? And both feel free to answer.
Yeah.
What have you seen? You mentioned waves. So what do you do? Obviously 55 years in business, done a few things right. Established a great culture. So how do you surf those different waves? What do you do to pivot when things are booming and you've got to get more? I know you said some high schools and getting involved in organizations, and when they're not booming and you've got one client that's booming and one's not. So what have you seen? You don't have to give the whole behind the curtain look, but what are some of the tips and tricks that you guys have done to say, hey, here's how we pivot to stay afloat, to keep driving, to keep supporting our customers?
That's a really good
It
question.
is a good-
So I start off with what you had said earlier, Jason, just about, Patty Bell and Dream It, Do It, and everything that Economic Alliance does. You have got to be connected. And so I do think that's one thing that sets Meador Staffing apart, is that we believe, and you've got to be connected with your local school districts, with, Economic Alliance, with your local chambers. You've got to be in the loop. You've got to be in the know with what's happening within your community. The same goes for your customers. So what do we do to pivot? It's in 55 years, we've been through a lot of, situations. Probably one of the most dynamic ones was COVID.
Sure.
And I just, we're celebrating the 4-year anniversary of when the shutdown actually happened. And, I think back to running a business, it is, if you don't pivot, it's not going to go well for you.
Right.
And that's what we were able to see. The customers, the clients that we actually work with that were able to pivot and work with us definitely came out with having the candidate
Yes.
pool, being ahead of the game. Those who just stand still and wait for, let me just hold up, let me wait for, let's see who's going to be elected, let's see what's going to happen. You don't have the luxury of time. I was actually telling a team this morning, our Pearland team, I was meeting with them, and I said, every hour is like critical right now. And we've got, in fact, in our operations team meeting this week, I said, we've got to pivot. We need to change some of the processes that we're doing, always from the filter or the lens of what is best for our customer.
Sure.
And in fact, Kristi and I probably spend a lot of time with this amazing person, Kristi. I'm on a lot of client visits. And so that's really where I've spent probably the past year. I've spent a lot of time in front of the customer because I believe as the leader of Meador Staffing, you got to be face to face. You got to be talking with the customer. So we do, what we call business review meetings where we're sitting face to face with the customer. How are we doing? But not just how we're performing, but also finding out from them what's going on within your organization. What is leadership talking about? What are you, what type of candidates or employees are you going to need? So I really believe that's probably the secret sauce of Meador Staffing is because we're privately owned and, not a global entity, we're able to shift and change literally hour by hour. It's what's working, what's not working. And really listening to, individuals such as Kristi. Kristi, what are you hearing? What do we need to do? So listening to the voices of your team members and take into account what they're saying and what they're speaking.
Yeah.
So
Being a nimble business advisor, right? There's your keys. There's your Melinda's tips to success. I love it. All right. We'll earmark that.
Well, and we intended to talk a lot about your culture, and I think a lot of that's come out in the dialogue what you're saying. But one thing you said,
surprise,
right? Listening to your consumer, listening to your customer,
yep,
and then listening to your team, and really being able to pivot even as an organization locally, right? Because this environment, meaning this little region down here, this region down here is in itself its own socioeconomic environment.
Absolutely.
It's completely different than anything else in the world. I think Texas is the 8th ranked economy in the world, like globally or something like we're in the top 10 in Texas.
Absolutely.
Well, and even going further, remember Chad shared with us that this region is 17% of the state's GDP, just in this little region here.
Yeah,
so
crazy.
And that's how we feel just super blessed to be in this region.
Absolutely.
And this is the region where others across the nation want to be.
Right,
I mean, this is an incredible marketplace to be in.
So the thing that jumped out to me when we were going to talk about involvement with organizations, but I was looking at this number here and I thought you're in 24 organizations serving in multiple committees and subcommittees with your entire team, right? So everybody on the team is engaged in the community, which to me is mind blowing. But it speaks to what you just described in your culture, right? Which is with that much involvement in the community, how could you not know what's happening? How could you not know what your consumers and your customers need if you've made it a priority to get your organization out, right? To say, hey, we got to get out of the building and hear what's happening in our network. So that's unbelievable. And then I guess a lot of that's parlayed to some success and some awards and things like that. I know both of you being as humble as you are, that's probably a weird dynamic when someone wants to bring that up, right? You're getting red already.
Oh, no, I was like, oh, gosh.
I know, I got to talk about myself. So you
didn't see, actually, Melinda carries around her Citizen of the Year award. As when he meets her clients, she's like, oh, what's that? Oh, nothing. Don't worry about it.
That's not a big deal.
Yeah. Kristi's got her Member of the Year right here. They just walk in.
They have a
set it on the table.
They just call it, it's a handbag.
No, don't worry about it. Yeah. Set it on the table.
Yeah.
Thank you for meeting with us today.
So you jumped the gun, but let's talk about this. Let's talk about big news, things that you'd like to cover, any big awards, anything that you guys want to really bring up and discuss.
You can do Melinda's and Melinda can do Kristi's.
You can do each other's. That'll make it so.
You're giggling like 6-years-olds right now. It's hilarious. Like, oh no, I don't want to say
it. Usually we're giggling like 6-year-olds, but you guys are. This is
helping us out here, bringing our maturity level up. Thank you.
I really do have to thank the Economic Alliance Houston-Port Region because they have provided the platform for us to be able to have certain awards and get certain recognition. So it truly. It just feels, that's why it's strange to even give credit to anything other than the organization that allowed the platform for it to happen, which in this case, I know Melinda's very connected with many organizations such as the Pasadena Chamber of Commerce, and we're a part of so many chambers, but the Economic Alliance Houston-Port Region is also just in a giant platform for all of us, and we all participate in as a company. So I just have to say that every award we've had credits back to me, in my opinion, back to the organization that allowed you, because no one else would have where else do you have the opportunity to have a mic in your face and talk about things like that, such as the podcast today? Not every organization can even offer that, but the Economic Alliance Houston-Port Region does offer that. So
You're amazing. I need it. I love Kristi.
Yeah.
Claypool t-shirt.
Well, and on that note, if you'll allow me, she doesn't even know this.
Yeah, I heard Kristi.
She doesn't even know this because she doesn't know this, but she was one of the first people I met in the Alliance, even before you, when I came in. And she was the first person when I came back to a meeting that remembered my name without a name tag after meeting me one time. And people were like, "Oh, what's your name again?" She said, "Hey, Zeke, welcome back." Like first person. She doesn't remember that.
Wow.
And so, so thank you. And the second thing is, I think you didn't say this, but being involved in organizations, and maybe this is my personal experience, but I doubt it. It's not like every time you guys are around, you're asking me how you can help me with my staffing needs at Apache. You just help. Hey, what do you need? Do you need to carry this or load this or what are you doing? It's being a helpful part of the organization, not coming in to sell me something. And not that I expected that, but that's just good feedback to say, hey, come help and dig in and be present, and all that stuff will happen organically. They'll be calling you to come. Hey, I love your help. Thank you for being involved. I want to buy from you, whatever that may be, the service wise. So I thank you both for that. So it's been awesome.
Yeah.
So we're going to run out of time. And since they're not willing to give each other the accolades that they deserve, I'll do it for them.
Yeah.
So Melinda, the Citizen of the Year Award in Pasadena, is that correct? Fantastic. And then Kristi, Volunteer of the Year Award for the Economic Alliance. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Just
all right.
stacking hardware. You guys are going to run out of room in that office.
Got some awards that came from the Houston Business Journal Awards. Talk to us about those.
Yeah. So, we are. Well, and we always say we got our humility probably from Ben Meador too. He's probably one of the most humble human beings that we've ever known, and probably has more awards and accolades than we could ever even dream up or imagine. So,
just real quick, I've never had the pleasure of meeting Ben Meador, but his legacy, meaning the guys that I look up into this region, the Chad Burks, Steve Cody's, Ryan Taylor of the region, all of them speak about Ben as if he's to what you just said.
Yoda.
I've heard him like, that's the Meador, they're like, yeah, that's the guy. So anyways. Yeah. So I'd love to take a tour of his castle sometime, or whatever.
Absolutely.
Ben Meador is our Chad Burke, right?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
so we'll give a shout out to Ben. We know you're going to be listening to this podcast, so shout out to you, Ben Meador, and thank you for all you've done. And I know he was really instrumental in helping create and found this actual organization, that we call Economic Alliance. So, but we decided, hey, we're just going to throw our names out there and nominate ourselves for some of these awards. And so, last year we had the privilege of being selected as a best family-owned business.
Oh, wow.
By the Houston Business Journal, as well as one of the best places to work as well. So,
love it.
Congrats.
Fantastic.
You said love it.
Congrats.
Did I do that? Yes.
I love it.
I love it too. I love you, buddy.
Is that
You're
my
great.
thing?
I want to mention what you're doing with the Bay Area. Isn't that a magazine that
Oh,
you're doing?
yeah.
Yes.
And so we actually were asked recently to be the featured spotlight in the Bay Area magazine, which I think is, mainly for Clear Lake and League City and that entire area.
Awesome.
So, so it's, again, very humbling. And we love what we do and just appreciate all the organizations we have the pleasure of working with.
Well, you two have been a gift to the region and have been a gift to us today.
Yeah.
So we're thankful for that, and thankful for
sure.
having you come on the show. Any last thing that we didn't capture before we exit that you want to make sure you cover?
Gosh.
Well, again, I would just say, again, first and foremost, thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to, just to be here and have a conversation. Happy anniversary to the two of you. And
I love this.
This is fantastic.
and,
So funny.
yeah. So, because
goodness.
sometimes we always, that's our gift. We always want to turn around and make it about the other person that's with us. Really not about ourselves. And so, just appreciate again to be able to do business in this region, and it's people like yourselves that make us love what we do. So, because at the end of the day, it's all about relationships, relationships.
Well, right back at you, right? We do this to have great guests and have fun and laugh and cut up a little bit. So
You have been great.
yeah. So
Well, happy
great job.
anniversary.
Yeah, you too, buddy.
Yeah.
Here's another
Awesome.
10.
Awesome. This is the last time I'm ever sitting next to you.
That feels weird. I know. He's been grabbing my thigh the whole episode.
time.
Yeah.
Gosh, dog it.
Yeah.
All right. So, hey, for our audience, we love you guys. We appreciate you staying close and connected to us. And I'm struggling here, but
No, great job.
I'm wondering if she's going to edit this or she's just going to keep it. So
I think
she's
keep it
shaking
raw.
her
Let's
head.
go. Let's keep
She's
it raw.
going to keep it for
So we're going
everybody.
to help close this
Yeah.
podcast down.
Yeah, there you go.
And we're just once again going to say thank you so much for joining us and give them a shout out on social media. If you have their
You're
cell phone
wonderful.
numbers, text them
Yeah.
and let them know how much you appreciate them and what they bring to this region each and every day and what they do for Economic Alliance. So again, congratulations,
Thanks, Melinda.
Jason and Zeke.
Thank you.
Yes,
Appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Zeke and
Thank you
Jason.
guys. Tune in next week. We appreciate it.
AlliancePortRegion.com. There you go.
Allianceportregion.com. That's where you get all the action.
Thanks, guys.
Bye. That was great. That was a good one. You got
Thanks for tuning in, and be sure to go to the Economic Alliance Houston Port Region website and subscribe to our channels. And let's pay it forward by sharing the good news of what's happening in our region by passing this episode to somebody you know.